We are live. Welcome to a new episode of All Things Xbox Podcast. Once again, I got Logan with me. Logan, how you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. Feeling very optimistic. Life's good. Enjoying some good games. Getting back into the swing of things post holiday. So yeah, all in all, vibes are good. It doesn't seem to be the case in some circles of the internet,
Yeah.
but over here, life is good. How about you, Jamie? Are things swimming well across the pond?
Yeah, everything's doing well. Outside of the bronchitis is lingering beyond belief. Uh, Hope anyone listening to this never get bronchitis. It's very annoying. It doesn't help anything. But outside of that, everything's good. Like you said, everyone's getting over the holidays. I'm now in that time where, yes, even though I'm sick, I'm like, I should really be working out again. And then I see that we have mince pies left over. So it's like, which one do you choose? But gaming's good right now. We've got a lot to talk about when it comes to the news stuff, like a lot. I'll probably rant about Splinter Cell some point later in the show. We've unfortunately had a cancelled game in the past week, third-party cancelled game, which I'm not gonna lie, absolutely devastating to me. Which we'll talk about. Some news just went live literally seconds before the show started, so we'll get into that. But before we get into all that stuff, Logan, it's been a long week. What have you been playing?
Yeah, I've been kind of playing a whole bunch of just random stuff. Like I finished Slay the Princess and got pretty much all the endings that I wanted and most of the achievements. Really highly recommend it. It is an absolute mind trip and bizarre. And if you like visual novel type games or point and click, choose your own adventure, you know, um, experiences or the telltale, like all your decisions matter, like it's rolled into one from the people who did Doki Doki Literature Club. Highly recommend it. Finished that. I've been playing Crash Team Racing.
Nice.
I am like so hooked on that now. It is so much fun. It's like it scratches an itch I haven't had, satisfied since basically like the Mario Karts or Diddy Kong Racing on the N64.
Oh
It
wow.
just it feels just fantastic. On Series X, I've been playing it. It's innovative, it's fun. I like how there's, races, but then there's also boss races like they used to do where you had the I can't remember the guy's name, the giant pig, War Pig or something like that
Yeah.
from Diddy Kong Racing and the bosses. And it's a lot of fun, really good, and I really really hope they invest in it and make another one because you know Nintendo's king with Mario Kart, but
Oh
if you
yeah.
can have something like it and have it be really well done and appreciated and include some other characters from your huge library of IP, I think you're cooking with gas there. Been playing that. I plowing through the original Doom remake, uh, or remaster remake from Nightdive and Machine Games. It is so good. Like the little solid touch ups they've done,
Yeah.
and there's new levels, new weapons, new monsters, and it got the full treatment, and it's fantastic. Another sign of why you should always trust them. And so I've been playing that, and I been jumped back into Vampire Survivor, and have been doing the Ode to Castlevania expansion, which is a lot of fun. It's just more Vampire Survivor, but with Castlevania skin. But hey, I like both, so it worked. And been playing that. And after that, I actually finally started Indiana Jones. I'm not very far,
Nice.
but man, like I just had this idiotic grin on my face starting that up and going through that opening of Raiders of the Lost
Oh
Ark
yeah.
again. in the game, and it's like, "See you later, senor." And then, just the university and just it's so good. Like eh, you you could tell me that was Harrison Ford, and I'd just straight up
Oh yeah.
believe you. I'd be just like, if I didn't know, I would just think, "Wow, they de-aged Harrison, and he looks and sounds great." And it's like, well, actually, no, it's a guy. They've de-aged him digitally, but then they have another guy who is, recreating a younger Harrison Ford from like 20, 30 years ago. It's just so good, and all the praise is warranted. But yeah, I've just been juggling a bunch of different genres, and of course, Power Wash Sim, which is getting a Wallace and Gromit expansion in March, which I'm excited for. So check that out. That game is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah.
Like, it keeps coming up with expansions I never would have thought of. Like Wallace and Gromit. Okay, like here's the expansions. We've got Tomb Raider trilogy, the original ones from the PS1. We've got Final Fantasy VII. We've got Space Marine 40K universe. We've got Shrek. We have Wallace and Gromit, and you've got like
Isn't there
Santa
SpongeBob
workshops.
SquarePants?
You've got, yeah, SpongeBob SquarePants, and yeah, I'm could have sworn I was missing one, but there's just so many of them, and it's so fun. I love them all. They're done well, and it's innovative and just peaceful. Just chill out and zen game. Absolutely love it. It's it's my version of Shipbreaker,
Oh yeah.
and just love it to death. And so yeah, that's what I've been up to. How about you, Jeremy? What have you been cranking?
Before I get into what I've been playing, have you gotten to the Vatican yet?
I have not. Like I said, I literally just started not long before I got on here. I did the Raiders
Yeah.
intro, and I'm at the university, so very very early.
Okay, very early on. Because I think the cool thing about the way that Indiana Jones game's made is that you can just spend maybe a few hours in each level if you want, or
Mhm.
I spent I think 12 hours in the Vatican level because there's just so much to do. I think that's one of the reasons why people like it. And there's a funny thing about that game is that the game doesn't tell you that you can visit previous areas like at all. But that's something you can do. I've had to tell people that's how you get the collectibles when you like get different abilities and upgrades and stuff. But yeah, brilliant game. You'll love it. Um, yeah, I've been playing all sorts. It's been a busy week. I've been playing Fallout 4. That game, I could talk about that game all day. I love Fallout 4. What a game. I have been playing it a little bit each week. For a particular reason, which will come out at a later date. But it's an incredible game. I think I've spent so many years kind of idolizing Fallout 3. Fallout 3 is one of the best games of all time, in my opinion. But like that wasteland, man, you get sick of seeing all the grey, the green, and the mixture of grey and green with Washington DC, and Fallout 4 is just so colourful. You have the bright
Mhm.
blue sky. You have orange buildings, blue buildings. Like there's the bridge, there's like the highways and stuff, the collapsed highways and that. Big massive factories. But like in Fallout 3, everything's basically the same color, and that was something that was basically the only thing I didn't like about that game, even though it's like in my top 25 of all time. But Fallout 4, my god, and I haven't even touched the expansions yet or the ending of the game. So probably going to be playing that for a couple of more months. I have been playing Quidditch Champions a lot. Uh, that game, I may have mentioned it last week. It is basically what people would ever want from a Quidditch video game. There's no microtransactions at all. You earn everything in game, which is great. I've also been playing Metal Gear Solid. I keep want to say HD Collection. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. There we go. Uh,
Yeah, that's a name.
yeah, I wish they shortened the bloody thing. But anyway, Metal Gear Solid 1, I'm playing right now. That game, I mean, it's a classic. If people haven't played it, it's on Xbox now. You can even buy them individually if you want. Um, but like, it's a great game. But I did forget that that game does not hold your hand. So after you find uh the vice president or whatever of the company, and you're told to find the president of the company, the game doesn't tell you where to go. And bear in mind, it's a top-down game. And what you have to do is you have to find the C4 and plant it on a wall that you can't see in top-down. So you have to aim in first person to see this very particular wall. Now, I have no idea how people played that as a kid. I can't remember playing that level as a kid. I just got through it. Back then, games didn't hold your hand. But man, I was lost. I was like, where the hell do I go? I've played this before. But yeah, great game. And Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 have 4K updates now. I didn't want to get too far into them, but let me tell you, as someone that's played Metal Gear Solid 2 probably 20 plus times, that thing in 4K on Xbox looks very nice. It's very nice having that upgrade. You can even change the internal resolution and the output resolution, all that stuff, and it works. And you can even have upscaled videos, so when there's historical footage, it is actually clear now. Whereas before, it was like you were looking at a CRT TV, but the CRT was covered in Vaseline. That's basically what
that's awful.
that's basically what that footage looked like. But now it looks way better, really good. I've also been playing a game that every time I post about it, I get hate. Like, there's people calling this game crap, it's mid, whatever the stuff. And that's Star Wars Outlaws. Now, before I talk about Star Wars Outlaws, people might be rolling their eyes thinking, oh, this is that game that got bashed a lot last year. It's mid. Let's go back in time to 2022. Cyberpunk got fixed a week before Elden Ring came out. Nobody was talking about Cyberpunk. Nobody was talking about how it's one of the best RPGs ever made, which is what people say now, right? Everyone talks positively about Cyberpunk. But in 2022, when the game was fixed, nobody was talking about it because Elden Ring was coming out. So I fired up the game, I downloaded the update, the game was fixed, ran beautifully, all that stuff. But all the comments I got to my clips on Twitter, I'm not even kidding, like, this game's made, it's crap, why are you posting these clips? And I was even accused by multiple people of being paid off by CD Projekt Red. Right? Just because I was posting clips in 2022 when nobody was talking about Cyberpunk. It was later in the year when Edgerunners came out and people were like, oh, should we revisit this game? And they discovered that, yeah, it's fixed now. And then a year later with the, Phantom Liberty update. Well, let me tell you, the same thing's basically happening now, right? I got Star Wars Outlaws for Christmas. I have all the updates. I don't have any forced stealth, game ending fails, all that stuff. Like, I'm having a lot of fun with this game. And will it have the redemption arc of Cyberpunk? The only reason I don't think it will is because CD Projekt Red, they put everything into that game. Like, they put their heads down and they were allowed to fix that game for multiples of years. They talked about the game all the time on social media. They even, they promoted Edgerunners, which also promoted the game. And the way Ubisoft is at the minute, I can't necessarily see them sinking much advertising funds into the game. Which it's unfortunate because this is 2 years in a row, right? This is 2 years in a row where Ubisoft's done this. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, the game that never ends for me. That game came out. It wasn't marketed at all. And then what happened? Apparently, it had losses. The game didn't make money. But they had this fantastic game they didn't market. And I think Star Wars Outlaws is going to be one of these games where you're going to see people maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, and you'll have these, 250,000 Twitter account followers posting clips saying, you know what, this game's actually pretty good. And I'm telling people it's actually pretty good. Is it perfect? No game's perfect. But it's refreshing to have a game where it's set in the Star Wars universe. It's about the smugglers and the gangs and stuff. And I was actually so intrigued by the story last night. I decided to watch Solo, the Han Solo spin-off movie. When they start talking about
Mm-hmm.
the Pikes and the Crimson Dawn, and I'm just like, yes, this is the thing that Star Wars is missing out on. That's the one of the most interesting things about Star Wars, and Disney's not touching it for some reason. You know, the smuggling, the gangs, and all that stuff, which is excellent in Star Wars. Um, but it is what it is. But I'm having a lot of fun with this game. Having different factions go up against each other, you get rewards for maxing out your loyalty for each faction. It's a really good game, you know. I do think that maybe when its second expansion comes out, maybe more people will pay attention to it if there's like an ultimate edition with all the DLC and stuff. But I am pleasantly surprised by this game because, you know, after Jedi Fallen Order and Survive, I didn't think that we were going to get like a big, you know, third-person Star Wars game for a very long time that would be good, and I'm happy to say it's actually pretty good. You know, I know like when the game came out, it had some bugs, and people didn't like the forced stealth things, and like the game I've been playing so far, there's moments where you kind of want to stealth because it makes the game easier. But if you do get caught, the game doesn't fail. You basically just, you know, it either respawns you to a previous checkpoint, which is handy, or you just go full-on shootout, which is great. So it works really well for that game, and I've just had a lot of fun with it. So like, if people on Twitter at some point, maybe tonight, tomorrow, or whenever, and you see me post a clip or screenshots from Star Wars Outlaws, look at the replies. People just get angry. And
Final Fantasy 7.
like, oh, funny, oh, which we'll talk about later. But like every time I post a GIF of Final Fantasy 7 remake or 16, you always post the moth GIF because it is like moth to a flame. It's hilarious.
It works every time.
Yeah, every time. And I'm. The funny thing is, I do it at the same time every night to prove a point. Like, and it works. But yeah, Star Wars Outlaws. I'm having a lot of fun with it. What can I say? I've been playing a lot of stuff. You know, Call of Duty multiplayer. I'm terrible. That's what you get for taking 12 years off and playing, you know, single player games only. Then you jump back into Call of Duty and you have these people that's sweating 24/7 trying to beat the battle pass. You know.
Oh, no lifers, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, like, I just don't want that. Like the whole, you know, I'm going to play this game each day. And by the way, I was playing really well at one point, and I was thinking, wow, I'm getting better at, you know, Call of Duty. And then I forgot that skill-based matchmaking was a thing. So I'm playing against people that are also crap. And then when I start playing with one of my friends who has literally played Call of Duty every day for maybe 17 years.
Oh,
And then,
good.
And absolute ownage. Like, why can't we just play with the crap people? But no, I'm playing against pros. But yeah, it's been a good week of gaming. What can I say? Absolutely love. I'm having such a good time with games right now because, you know, you have people doing the whole doom and glooming thing, and, you know, you have the whole stalkers on Twitter making new accounts to follow you, and just play some games. I think that's one of the weird things about this hobby and, you know, doing this content is that a lot of people just don't really talk about their experience with gaming when we cover gaming, and I think that's a bit sad. You know, I think it's very important to like actually enjoy gaming because too many people get up in their feelings, get mad about it and all that stuff, and it's chill. We're meant to enjoy ourselves. Anyway, that's what I've been playing. Now, we have a lot of topics to cover today. Well, more than I thought. Now, this game got cancelled recently, and it's a game that I've been looking forward to for maybe 3 years. I'm not even kidding. I've been looking forward to this particular game for 3 years, and at like 2 in the morning, maybe last Wednesday, Splash Damage put up that wall of text we've all seen on Twitter a million times. You all know what that means. It's either the game's getting delayed or cancelled. Well, Transformers Reactivate got cancelled, and my heart sunk to my stomach because I've been looking forward to this game for freaking years. Try not to swear, but I've been looking forward to this game for years. And for people that don't know, it was a third-person Gears of War style shooter, but set in the Transformers universe. with some
That
loot.
would have been great.
Yeah, it would have been great with some loot elements, and apparently they've had like issues behind the scenes with maybe funding or trying to get the game finished, but it's in a weird situation because they had such a good premise for a video game, and it's like people are craving a Transformers game, and people are craving more third-person shooters. So it's like this would have been both of those things, and I think that's really sad that it got cancelled because we got a CGI trailer. There's been a bunch of leaked gameplay, which I can't post on Twitter, but if you type Transformers Reactivate on Twitter, you'll find it. Really good looking gameplay. A lot of it clearly inspired by Gears. You know, Splash Damage has worked with the Gears of War franchise before, so it kind of makes sense. But yeah, it was cancelled. Now, Logan, I don't know if you're looking forward to this, but what's your take on the situation? Because Splash Damage, like, they've been quiet for years, and then they randomly deactivated a lot of their Instagram stuff and then just put out that notification.
Yeah, that it's a real bummer because I've been wanting more Transformer games. I've been wanting more third person shooter games in the vein of Gears. So a marriage of the two sounded like a really good idea and fun. So it getting canceled is a real bummer. Immediate thought is I hope this is not foreboding for Splash Damage themselves, because when you've been on a project for multiple years and you're a smaller studio and then it gets that generally doesn't go well. So I hope they bounce back and find something else. I like what they did with Gears Tactics. It was really, really good. Highly underrated. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, it's a bummer. It's like people keep wanting more Transformers stuff and more of these licensed game type stuff, yet they keep falling through the woodwork for some reason.
Yeah. And the craziest thing about the situation, which I haven't really seen anyone mention, is that Hasbro they really need money at the minute, but they also invested $1 billion into four different gaming studios. So you have these outside studios which they don't own, making licensed IP they clearly going to make money on, and like Hasbro has been selling toys for this game. The game didn't have a release date. There was no official gameplay out there, but they were selling actual toys based on this universe. So,
Oh,
like,
that's awkward.
yeah, very awkward. So, like, if people bought some Transformers Reactivate toys, let me tell you, do not take them out of the box. They will be worth quite a bit. Just putting it out there.
That
But
reminds me of that you remember how Star Wars always releases action figures and stuff
oh yeah,
before game movies or games, and sometimes that's how we find out about a certain plot line or character or
yeah,
ability or weapon or whatever. It gets leaked like that. I remember even Mecha Godzilla got leaked for Godzilla versus Kong
yeah. I remember
from
that.
a Japanese toy thing, which was super awkward. Major spoiler. And yeah, it reminds me of that. And I remember there was a toy that got released for The Force Awakens. It was like this Constable Zavo or Sheriff Zavo or something like this, some lawman guy on Jakku who never actually ended up in the movie at all. And then there was like a snow speeder transporter tank thing that was supposed to be in the movie, and then they cut it. But then these toys are out and they're affiliated with, and so people are like, wait, what? It just, I don't know, it reminded me of that.
Yeah. Before we continue, Logan, your voice has dipped in and out, so I don't know if you're downloading something or just worth checking.
My internet's been choppy today.
Ah,
Sorry.
it's all right, no worries. But yeah, it's a shame about Transformers Reactivate because again, like I'm starving for some Transformers games, man. A lot of people are. I mean, Transformers is an IP. Look, we got Transformers One, the movie, months ago. Excellent film. It looks like we may not get a sequel to it, unfortunately. That's just a painful thing. But anyway, hopefully we'll see more games in the future, and we need to see these Activision games, which we'll be talking about in a bit. Anyway, we'll move on. Before we get into the other news that leaked just a minute ago, Logan, I know you want to talk about Nightdive Studios because they kind of posted about something which we were both pretty interested in, or something they'd hoped they'd do.
Yeah, I know I've become basically the biggest disciple of Night Dive Studios, but I love their work and what they do, and how you can really tell if somebody has mastered their craft and really takes it seriously and pays respect and reverence to lore and gameplay and design and stuff, but then also brings it forward in a proper way to make it better than what you even remembered and to improve it. And someone from Game Rant, I can't remember the man's name, but a writer from there came up with this idea and he posted this article saying, "Hey, I'd love for them to do Call of Cthulhu Corners of the Dark Earth. Dark Corners of the Earth," which, for those who are unfamiliar, was an original Xbox and PC game in the very early 2000s. And it was a Bethesda title, actually. And it's a cult classic, like, they're super hard to find physical copies of. And like The Thing, there's a lot of good in there, but there's also some jank and some like stuff that, man, if they could just tweak this would be a masterpiece type thing. And so it's got this big following. And so he wrote that, and then Night Dive saw it, and they're like, you know what? That's a great idea. And one of the guys from Night Dive reshared it and said, "We have some surprises this year. Whether or not that hints at that game in particular, I don't know. But it sounds like they have some more games from now they've entered the OG Xbox, PS2, GameCube, Dreamcast era of titles that they're starting to remake and remaster, which opens up a whole new swath of cool titles they can do." So it was exciting. They posted and saying, "Hey, who likes that idea? And what all other titles would you like to see?" And I know you and a bunch of people, myself included, would love to see the Chronicles of Riddick games. I still do not know why those weren't made BC. It must
Yeah.
be licensing or something, but because they run incredible, they look incredible. There's just something to them that is truly unique, and just there's so many games from that era of OG and early 360 that now that Night Dive is starting to touch those, like, hey, reach out to them and suggest some stuff because they're clearly listening, they're clearly interested, and their resume speaks for itself.
Yeah, before we continue with the topic, we have the first super chat of the day by Nick Wendland. Thank you very much for the $4.99. He says, "Call of Cthulhu: Dark Corner of the Earth is a solid horror game." Now, that's one of those games I missed out on because
Mm-hmm.
one, I'm a scaredy cat, and now I'm trying to get back into horror games. But it's one of the reasons why I want more games to come back. Like, I don't really care if a game's old. Just put it on the console I'm playing. But if that does come out, remastered on Xbox, I will happily buy that and turn the lights on full because I'm terrible with horror games. But Call of Cthulhu titles are always interesting. There's always interesting lore, and they can be pretty freaky at the end of the day with the tones and messaging and stuff. Like, very creepy vibes. But yeah, like,
Oh
Logan,
yeah, it's a Lovecraft.
do you think Dark Corner will actually happen?
um, I certainly think there's a good chance. I think that they wouldn't particularly bring that one up and talk about it if they didn't think they had a chance or weren't already working on it.
Yeah,
Like, I think there's a valid chance that one can happen. And maybe it's one of their surprise games that they're teasing. Like, I know The Suffering is another one people have been really wanting and asking them a lot, and it's been talked about. And, like I said, it was mentioned, it was done by Bethesda. Guess who has a great relationship with Bethesda and by proxy Xbox? Nightdive.
Yeah,
With their Doom games, their Quake games, like all these other games, they've openly pined for getting the chance to do Hexen and Heretic. So to me, it just seems like a no brainer. Like, if Microsoft still has the rights or Bethesda still has the rights to everything, give Nightdive a call and make it happen. People would love that.
yeah. You know what else I would like them to touch up, and I think they would be really good at it. The Rogue Squadron games.
Oh, 100%. Shadows of the Empire, Rogue Squadron,
Yeah,
that era, yeah, they'd be great.
like if anyone has a GameCube, especially, and you fire up Rogue Leader, that game still looks good. Like still to this day looks good. I know you can get Rogue Squadron on PC now. It's on GOG, I believe. Uh, like I would love to see those games come out in a collection, and we've seen what they've done in the past with Star Wars games, like Dark Forces. A lot of people would consider it a very niche first-person shooter. Came out in the '90s. A lot of people forgot about it, and like they gave that game the best facelift ever. You have full 3D models where before they were 2D, sprite models. Like they did a lot to that game. They remastered the soundtrack, everything, and like if they can do that for more Star Wars games, you can tell I'm very thirsty for Star Wars games at the minute. Like I seem to be
Oh,
talking
me
about.
too, man.
Yeah, like there's so many old ones that need to come back, and you know,
Christian Gurgia,
yeah,
me too.
and like earlier last year on the channel, I reviewed the Star Wars Battlefront collection, the
Oof.
one by Aspire. Let me tell you, that was a mess. Apparently, there was maybe less than 150 of us playing on the servers worldwide before the game launched. And
How
like,
is that possible?
yeah, and like we were having issues, like major issues playing the game. I had no hit detection at all, and I had perfect internet. So like, I trust Aspire with some of the bigger style remasters. Like what they did with Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 1 and 2, the Tomb Raider games. Although allegedly, apparently, even though Aspire is on the box, apparently it's Saber Interactive that did them, but they just not credited. And I know that
Hmm.
Saber Interactive does technically own Aspire, but it's a weird situation there. But all I'm saying is, I want Nightdive to do more games. I'll take more sci-fi. The Chronicles of Riddick games I keep mentioning because, you know, those games were available on 360 before the store was shut down. I bought them. I've never played them, even though I'm a huge Riddick fan. And even though they are sitting there on my 360, I'm ready to play any day now, which I probably will because I'm getting a capture card all sorted out. I would buy them again on Xbox Series X. Um, they still look good. You can actually buy them on PC still, so I don't believe it's 100% like a license thing. If anyone from Nightdive hears this, pay attention, please, because I want some remastered versions of Riddick games. And there's a fourth Riddick film coming out later this year, I believe. Like, give us the games. That's all we
Good
want.
timing.
Yeah, it would be perfect timing. I know. And plus, like those style of games, we don't really have many of now. First person stealth. There was some light immersive sim elements there, some action. I think a lot of people would really vibe with those games at the minute. But
Oh,
yeah,
they were brutal too.
yeah. I mean, even though I haven't gotten to play them fully, like they are meant to be very difficult but fun games, and I'll get to them at some point. It's just, I hate turning on my 360 now. It's getting old. Like that thing is 15 years old now. It's getting on. Like, I need Nightdive to help, please. Anyway, we'll move on. You know what? This kind of went live a few minutes before the show. There's been rumors, and I know we're going to be talking about rumors a lot. There's been rumors for about a year now that Ubisoft is going to remake Assassin's Creed 4. Now, Assassin's Creed 4 is one of Ubisoft's best-selling games ever. Uh, People adore that game. I adore the game. Most people adore the game. And most people would consider it as maybe the best pirate game of all time.
I
And
agree.
it came out with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. It was a cross-generational game. So basically, if you got the 360 version or the PS3 version, it was basically exactly the same. It's just some foliage was missing. That's it. But it was still a very impressive game for what they did. Um, yes, I apologize. It's going to be the fifth Riddick film because the animated one. I always forget about the animated one.
Which was the animated one? I don't remember that
Dark
one.
Fury.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen that one. I've seen all the other ones.
Yeah, it's more of like a shorter film, but I always forget about that. And the thing is, I rewatch the Riddick movies maybe too often, and I just forget about that one. But yeah, I'll remember in the future. Thanks. But yeah, Assassin's Creed 4, like that's a bloody huge game, and apparently, like it's going to be a full-on remake, so it's not just going to be an up-res. And my worry in the past is that Ubisoft's kind of botched some remasters. So Fallout 3, Blood Dragon, I'm doing air quotes right now, when they remastered that about 5 years ago, it's basically the same game you played on 360. There's not really any benefit to it at all. There's no changes to gameplay. There's no quality of life options. Nothing. It's a bare bones port, and they did nothing with it. And then there's Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered, which has the most absolute broken HDR. If you have HDR on, your Xbox or PlayStation, or PC, it is broken. So unless you have a fan made mod on PC, you can't play it with HDR and it work properly. So that was a bit of a shame. I just want Ubisoft to come out and deliver. But it's going to be a full on remake apparently. There's going to be increased vegetation, more wildlife. That's something what Ubisoft has been wanting to do for a long time. Basically, they saw Red Dead Redemption back in the day and thought, we want to do that. But they haven't really done that yet. And it looks like they're going to be doing that with this. It looks like there's going to be a revamped gameplay completely. Now, if for anyone listening, and I know Logan, I've asked you this before, if you play an older Assassin's Creed game now, and you want to go stealth, you kind of want to crouch. In the old Assassin's Creed games, you can't crouch. And it feels weird going back to it because you instinctively want to crouch, so you basically go into auto hide when you enter a bush or something. But it looks like they're going to overhaul the gameplay with modern mechanics from the new Assassin's Creed games, hopefully Mirage. And yeah, it looks like they're going to do the full thing. And that's a bloody huge game. And it looks like that's going to be releasing either later this year or early 2026. By the way, I hate how futuristic years sound now. But yeah,
I don't know, it makes me feel old.
yeah.
Ugh.
And by the way, if people really want to feel old, do you know Pacific Rim was set in 2025?
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's another Back to the Future 2 moment for me. It's like, wow, we are really getting on in the years.
I want giant kaiju.
Yeah,
Come on.
but yeah, 2025. Oof. But yes, so Assassin's Creed. Logan, do you think you'll be picking that up because Assassin's Creed 4 is such a beloved game, and if they remake it right, it could be one of the best-selling games of the year it releases. Really.
If they do it justice, yeah, I will 100% pick that up. I loved Assassin's Creed 4. It's probably my favorite in the series besides the first one. I don't know why. I know the first one isn't the best mechanically, but I just something about the story in the Crusades, Middle East, and Altair's storyline and the gameplay, the firstness, the newness of it. I really like the first one and then the fourth one were my particular favorite. It like you said, I think it's the best pirate game ever made.
Yeah.
It is fantastic. Those sea shanties were stuck in my head for
Oh yeah.
months. I still occasionally hum Bully on the Block. It just or Johnny to leave her. And it's the legendary ship battles. If they do it right, this could be huge. I mean, um you have one, shipwreck of a pirate game in Skull and Bones, and then you have the actual legendary vessel here, the Dreadnought. And if they deliver, then awesome. And this could be exactly what UB needs. At the same time, I have the caveat that UB is they're a mixed bag at the moment, to put it that way. And they're kind of on thin ice, and it's not sure if they're even gonna be in much longer, or who's gonna be in charge, or how many people are gonna work there. There's a lot in the air with UB, so a big title of this magnitude on top of all the drama, it's tough sledding, but I hope they do it.
Yeah. I hope they have success with it because, like, they get memed on a lot on Twitter, but, like, they make some amazing games.
Hmm.
And, like, before the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 came out, I'd say even then, they were my favorite third-party publisher because in the span of, what, a year and a half, they came out with I was going to say Fallout, Far Cry 3, Assassin's Creed 4, Assassin's Creed 3, Splinter Cell Blacklist, a Ghost Recon game, Rayman Origins, and a bunch of other cool games. And
Yeah,
just,
Child of Light.
yeah,
They had a lot
Child of
of
Light, that
stuff.
was fun. I just want them to get back to that. I think a lot of people do. Like, it's like, screw the meme and all that stuff. Like, people just want good games, and they're clearly capable of it. Like, again, I'll defend Star Wars Outlaws from what I've played. Damn good game, but um, everything that's going on with Tencent right now, all that stuff, like, they might be stepping in. It's a weird situation. Um,
That could potentially affect them in the US too, because, I'll dance around the terminology of this,
yeah,
but with certain officials labeling that company with a designation that as a certain type of entity, Tencent, the idea of them potentially owning this could lead to more problems for Ubisoft potentially if they were acquired by Tencent. So something to keep an eye on.
yeah. You know what? This wasn't actually going to be a topic, but since we're talking about Assassin's Creed, we may as well talk about this. So, I think a few people in chat might know what I'm about to say. So, when Skull and Bones was first revealed properly, and we see the ship-to-ship combat, the naval combat, people were like, this looks fun. And then we found out that there's no, you can't swing to another ship and fight on deck. You can't do pirate stuff, right? And as the game was like coming out, people were like, "So can we walk around our own ships? Can we do anything like that?" It's like, no, you can get to an island and walk around and buy stuff with real money if you want. It's like Skull and Bones. Ubisoft had the easiest job of all time. They just had to make a Black Flag sequel and just remove the name, Assassin's Creed, right? Just make another game like this, and that's it. That's all they had to do, right? And then Skull and Bones came out, and it was literally the opposite of what people wanted. There was no single player story. You couldn't swing to other ships and do battles. You couldn't walk around islands and do your own thing. You couldn't walk around your own ship and upgrade your ship like how you did in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. And Skull and Bones had a pretty bad launch, pretty bad. I mean, look, I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again for new people listening. There's a mini game in Skull and Bones that I was embarrassed to play. Right? I think
The
Logan knows on.
coconut one.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
so. There's this mini game in Skull and Bones that if you take your boat and you pull up next to like an island, you get this little icon, right? And it's to cut down coconut trees or coconuts. And you have to basically hit A every time the saw moves across this green icon. And you're not doing anything. You can't see any people on land taking coconuts down from a tree. It's this little mini game, and then afterwards, you have a full hold, and you can sell them if you want, or let them, let the people on your crew eat them. And I was embarrassed. I was secondhand embarrassed to play this mini game, and I just thought this is terrible. And visually, Skull and Bones looks nice. The naval combat isn't as good as Assassin's Creed 4. But where am I going with this? So last week we got a new game, I should say, new gameplay for an already announced title, and that is called Like a Dragon Yakuza. Oh, sorry, what's it called? Yeah, Pirate Yakuza in Hawaii, right? And this game was already shown off last year. It had a little bit of gameplay. Well, we got the English trailer, English dub, and we also got more gameplay. And let me tell you, I think I think that studio may have made possibly the best looking game of all time when it comes to just genuine fun. It's a Yakuza game, and it has naval combat like Assassin's Creed 4. You can swing to other ships and battle people like Assassin's Creed 4. You can have laser cannons and like thermite cannons on your ship. You can have flamethrowers on the side of your ship, and it's like this side thing of this, Yakuza game is gonna do more for Assassin's Creed 4 fans than Skull and Bones. And like my jaw was on the floor when I watched this trailer last week. I think the trailer went live just after the last week's show, but like if you're an Assassin's Creed 4 fan, watch the new Yakuza trailer. Like a Dragon, Yakuza Pirate in Hawaii, or whatever it's called. I keep mixing the name up, but you'll get the name of it. But it is one of the coolest looking games I've ever seen. Yakuza games are kind of out there to begin with, but like, yes, you do have the mini games with the karaoke and the bowling and stuff, but you also have kart racing in the style of Mario Kart and just stuff like that. It's like so over the top. You can ride a Segway on the beach. Like, nothing in this game looks like it makes sense, and that's what makes it so good. And like, I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at Ubisoft, the Skull and Bones office, when that trailer went live, because oh my god, all I could think while watching this Yakuza trailer was they are outdoing Skull and Bones. Absolute shock on my face. But like, the game looks genuinely fantastic. It comes out next month. Logan, what was your thought when you saw it? Because like, it is like the most over the top thing ever, but it just works.
Dude, I am all for power fantasy, like sci-fi mixed with retro tech, mixed with pirates, mixed with Japanese, crime syndicate. It's insane. I love it so much. It's incredible. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That is going to be an absolute trip of a game.
Yeah, it's going to be over the top, and I think for newcomers to the Yakuza franchise, I think the way this game is basically set up is that you can play this if you're a newcomer. You're playing as one of the main characters of the franchise, but he can't remember anything, and it just looks good. It looks so good, and it's action-based combat. It's not turn-based like the previous one. So I think a lot of people are really going to love this game. And again, it's a gamer's game. It's just over the top action, and it kind of just works. And I think people are really gonna vibe with it at the end of the day. But yeah, people need to pay attention to that, especially if you're an Assassin's Creed 4 fan, because look, Assassin's Creed 4 came out in 2013. A lot of people, including myself, have been thirsty for a new Assassin's Creed 4 game. This is kind of be the closest towards that until the remake comes out. But yeah, what a game. What a game. It looks bloody
Oh, can I
phenomenal.
throw a side tangent in?
Yeah.
Sorry, it made me think, like, these people, like, this reminded me because of the whole origin of the leak for Assassin's Creed 4 remake being basically confirmed. Do developers not like have certain guidelines on what to put on their LinkedIn? Because I never would have thought of LinkedIn watching before, but it seems like it should be Captain Obvious not to put undisclosed, unannounced games in your portfolio on the website to basically just confirm that it's happening. It's just that, and then another game we're going to talk about a little bit later. I thought that was funny. That was all.
Yeah, I mean the amount of different games that get leaked on LinkedIn, it's shocking. Like, you'll have a developer I'll just use an example. Someone from like Rocksteady, open world superhero Batman game. It's like you might as well just tell us the name of the game at this point. It's always so obvious, and it's never vague. They never try to dance around it. It's always so obvious. But I like that. But yeah, hilarious leaks. But yeah, if people haven't checked out the new Yakuza trailer, check it out. Honestly, like I know it's going to be releasing in February. I hope when the award season comes around, I hope that game gets a lot of attention because it's just so over the top, and I feel like too many games can be too serious these days. Like they're basically smelling their own farts. This game clearly isn't that, and I think a lot of people are going to love it. You know what? Before we get into all the other topics, I wasn't really going to bring this up. The Switch 2. I know this is an Xbox podcast, but I want to talk about it quickly because the Switch 2 has leaked like unlike anything else I've seen before, right? Unlike anything. Consoles have leaked in the past. The Xbox One S launched the day before it was announced. I should say it leaked the day before it was announced with the promo image. And the PlayStation 4 Slim and the Pro leaked a month beforehand because someone in a warehouse took a photo. But the Switch 2, it's not just like one little leak. You basically have 10 companies at CEX. That's the Consumer Electronics Expo, or whatever it's called. And basically advertising these new, peripherals and accessories for the Switch 2 with a demo unit, a dummy unit for the Switch 2, and just openly talking about it. Like, it's the craziest thing ever because, like, Nintendo, they, like, Microsoft, Sony, and, all these other companies, they kind of, they're a bit more loose when it comes to, things like, and they won't really retaliate too much. Nintendo will absolutely go for the throat. You don't post any.
You don't mess with Nintendo.
Yeah, you don't mess with Nintendo. No leaked images. Like I don't even retweet that stuff. I barely mention it at all because like I know what they like. But like this whole thing's leaks, and we allegedly going to get a full announcement in the next few days, which is cool. I can't wait to see the thing in action. But yeah, it's just so weird to see a console leak like this. Like there's pictures of the motherboard floating around on Twitter. I have never seen a console leak like this before. Like, have you, Logan?
We've seen I've seen some like Xbox updates or revisions or PlayStation 5 like special editions or stuff like that over the years get leaked from some either collector or fan at an event or a warehouse or something, and it'll show some looks like it was taken on a potato kind of, grainy photo of some console, but like not a brand new next gen console ever. Like this has been wild and blatant. And basically, yeah, they had all these prototypes of this next gen console, which has not even officially, been debuted or released or announced, even though, yes, we know it's happening at this event, and they're showing it, and there's hypotheticals and so on, peripheries of something that hasn't even been revealed yet, using specs of something that hasn't even been made official yet, and all this stuff. And I don't remember how to pronounce the name. I'll probably butcher it, but Genki, I think, is what it was.
Yeah, Genki.
This big Japanese outlet basically had a big O article spiel about all this stuff, what we know about Switch 2 specs, yada yada. It's gonna do this, this, that, and then they started getting a lot of press. Stood on it, and then lo and behold, apparently, the briefcases had a talk with them, and then they just so magically retract and go back on a bunch of stuff. It's funny how that happens, but yeah, it's wild, just the sheer just open secretness of this console. Like at this point, it's like it's supposedly they. I know Nate the Hate, who we're gonna bring up again later, was saying like Thursday or something was his date he had kind of penciled in for when they were gonna reveal stuff officially. But yeah, it's just all flying out there.
Yeah, it's way over the top with the stuff I'm saying. Like, the thing is, like, when the console's announced, and they show it off in photos and stuff, like, all it has to be is a Switch 2. It's a more powerful console. That's it. Backwards compatible and all that stuff. But I guarantee you that there's people going to be disappointed or saying that they're disappointed just because they've seen so much already, which is something you can't really stop. Although I will say this, Kotaku put out an article saying the Switch 2 is going to be a more powerful Switch, and that makes me disappointed. It's like, really? Does one of the most successful consoles of all time really need to be anything else when it comes to its successor? Nobody's
I
really.
mean, they're gonna sell
Yeah,
unholy amounts,
yeah.
but
Like, all they have to do is just smack a 2 on the box. Have it more powerful, have it so it can play current gen games to some level, and that's it. Success. Nintendo struck gold. And remember, like, whenever people get down about Xbox and all this stuff, or PlayStation, when they don't have like the roadmap and all that stuff, like, remember, Nintendo, the Wii U, sold 13 million units in its lifetime. It was announced, and people didn't even know. Right? People didn't even know it was a new console. People just thought it was a new controller. You know, even first party games weren't selling to the extent they normally do. And then they came out with the Switch at the right time, the right format, and they like 140 million consoles sold or something like that. Absolutely absurd numbers. Like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold, I think, 60 to 80 million copies. Something stupid, like absolutely insane numbers. So when I see like those Kotaku articles, like they are still angry at Nintendo over that Zelda situation. Like,
oh, the comparing it to World War II and all
yeah,
that other nonsense. Oh my gosh, yeah, that was ridiculous.
yeah. And for people that don't know, and this is to be the last time we'll talk about the Switch 2 today. It depends on if anything leaks during the show. But basically, Kotaku didn't get a review copy for Tears of the Kingdom, and they compared it to a World War II situation. And people posted World War II images, and yeah, it was pretty gross what they were doing, or for not getting a review copy. But that's Kotaku for you. They are scum of the earth, dirt under your feet. Anyway, we'll move on. About an hour into the show. If people are enjoying it, please like, share, and subscribe. I hate doing these little ads, but it helps the channel grow and helps the podcast grow. But yeah, all that stuff is really appreciated. If you want to support the channel with super chats, it's greatly appreciated. It goes back into the channel. Got a lot of cool stuff. Lot of cool stuff planned for the year. By the way, if I keep messing up my words today, it's because my bronchitis has been so bad that I've literally had to chug a bottle of cough mixture. It ain't nice. I'm trying to get through this show.
Oh, Mary Poppins, man.
Yeah, I wish it was. I wish it was that kind. I mean, it tastes like Jägermeister just without any of the benefits of it being Jägermeister. So
Oh gosh.
yeah,
Ugh.
it is what it is. And look, I can't exactly mix the cough mixture with Red Bull, which is what I would do with Jägermeister. But yeah. Anyway, so another game. Yeah, I just had to mention that.
Yeah.
So another game was announced last night with a brand new trailer, brand new IP called The Blood of Dawnwalker. Now, this game's been developed by former CD Projekt Red staff. It's been in development for 2 years, and it's using Unreal Engine 5. Can you hear us? Is my audio still going? Okay, Logan, can you hear us? Can anyone in chat hear me? Testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, for some reason my audio is telling me that there's no audio coming out. If people in chat can hear me, just type yes. I don't know what's going on with my settings. Okay. Oh, God. Okay. We can hear you, but nobody else. Okay, Logan, apparently they can't hear you, but on Discord, it says that there's no audio coming from me. This is weird. 1 second. Teasing issues with all that stuff. Logan, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, sorry. It went out for a second. I was like, man, that's crazy. Someone turned the sound off.
Yeah. For people that
But
don't know, Discord can have its issues. It craps the bed sometimes. I apologize for people listening. Anyway, what we were talking about.
yeah.
Okay.
We were talking about Dawnbreaker from the XCD Red guys.
Yeah. My God, I can't stand when I have technical issues. It's like my brain farts, I panic, I sweat, and I'm wondering what the hell's going on. Anyway, so yeah, The Blood of the Dawnwalker, coming out by CD Projekt Red staff. It's been in development for 2 years. Now, we got a CGI trailer, and let me tell you off the bat, and I said this earlier today at the Boom, I don't actually have a problem with CGI trailers. I've never had a problem with them. I feel like, depending on how they can, do them, they can get across what the tone is, who you're playing as, what you're playing against, all that stuff. And I think in the past, they've really exceeded at that. Like, look at The Witcher 3 CGI trailers or Cyberpunk's. I feel like they can be really good. And, we're going to get gameplay in the summer of 2025, which is really cool. But, like, it's been in development for 2 years, and apparently they're pretty far along. So it may not actually be as far out as people think, but a lot of people are excited from it. And for people that don't know, it's another dark fantasy RPG. It looks like it's set in Western Europe, medieval style times, much like The Witcher. And it looks great. It looks really great. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with this. The Witcher 4 isn't coming out for a few years, so I think this is going to satisfy people's needs because, again, Rebel Wolves is the studio. People are going to be really happy with this. Like, tone-wise, it's gory, bloody, it looks great. Like, Logan, did you catch that trailer?
I haven't yet, but all I need to know is, vampires, bloody, RPG, decisions matter, XCD Red folks. Like, yeah, count me in. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of get the vibe from the trailer that you're going to play as some sort of vampire. The extended trailer, because there's 2 different versions at the minute, but the trailer kind of hints at you having like some sort of climbing abilities at night. So while you are going to play as this person that can walk around during the day, it looks like maybe at night you're going to have vampire abilities.
So is this a or something else?
Sorry, you cut out there, Logan.
Oh, is the character a Dampier, or is it something else, like for the abilities during day and night?
I think it's something else. Maybe something like that. I don't know. It was just a CGI trailer, so we didn't really get names or anything. But the guy that you're going to play as in the game looks suspiciously a lot like Geralt. So I think maybe the developers just like that, tall dude, white hair kind of look. It works. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with it. I mean, it's not much else to go on at the minute, but I will say this: I'm so happy that you have these newer studios coming out with these like AAA announcements because, like, over the past several months, there's been like a lot of studios shutting down before the game's even been shown off. I know Casey Hudson's new studio, Humanoid Studios, who were working on a third-person shooter sci-fi RPG. They couldn't get funding from any publisher, which
That seems
yeah, like I don't know how that's possible. Like, oh, by the way, creator of Mass Effect here, I'm gonna make a Mass Effect style game. Please fund me. Like, who wouldn't fund that? I could rant about that all day, but yeah, Dawnwalker, it looks really cool. We're gonna see gameplay this summer. Just a guess, we're probably gonna see something during either the Xbox Showcase or Summer Games Fest. But hey, cool new games coming. I can't wait. Anyway, we'll continue. Now, oh God, we still have a lot of topics to cover. You know what? Let's talk about the Oblivion stuff because some stuff went live a few hours ago, which I know Logan you want to talk about because the Elder Scrolls Oblivion it's an old enough game now that basically most people haven't played it. It's essentially a new Elder Scrolls game for a lot of people. And yeah, even though right now on your Xbox you can fire up Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion right now and play it at 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR. However, the game it hasn't aged the best. You get into the open world for the first time and you look down at the ground and there's no grass there. There's this green paint texture for grass. That annoys the hell out of me. Could they not get blades of grass working back then? But yeah, it's needed a coat of paint for a very long time, and essentially we're getting a full one-to-one remake with apparent gameplay improvements, which is essentially all that game needs. And it's going to be using Unreal Engine 5, made by Virtuous Studios, which is helping on the Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater remake, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, and it looks like it's pretty much going to be the best remake we could have seen for that game. So personally, I think fans should be really excited. If people have never played it, this is going to be the best way to play it. But when it comes to Elder Scrolls, like we've had Skyrim several times now with several updates and basically nothing else. And I think a lot of people are going to love this because you have Elder Scrolls fans that jumped in with Skyrim and they've never played anything else. In fact, they've played Skyrim 3 times or 4 times, depending on which platforms they have. But with Oblivion, there's a high chance they've never played it. And like, while I'm looking forward to playing this game with the new coat of paint and all that stuff, gameplay improvements. If you've played an older Bethesda game in third person, not exactly the best experience. But if you've played, Bethesda's later games such as Fallout 4 and Starfield, the third person gameplay is actually fantastic. But it looks like this game's going to get the treatment it deserves. Logan, I know you love Oblivion as much as me. What do you think of the whole situation that's going on right now?
I'm super stoked for this. Like when it first got leaked, all those years ago, there was the FTC thing where this and Fallout 3 remake, remaster were leaked. And then they were both listed at both, like a remaster remake. So
Yeah.
you were like, okay, are they hedging bet? Are they like not just sure what they want to do yet, what the scale is, or what? But it sounds like this is a full on like remake. Like they're going in and they're changing stealth mechanics, they're changing blocking mechanics, making it more inspired by Souls-like games and the Assassin's Creed trilogy kind of parrying, and they are changing up the UI a bit and obviously graphical enhancements, a whole bunch of other stuff like with combat, melee combat. Archery is getting a huge overhaul in third and first person.
Thank God.
And yeah, just I'm super stoked for it. It's my favorite Elder Scrolls. It was the first one I completed and really delved into. Still my favorite story by far. And I love all the side quests and the guilds were just so good. And like speaking of pirates, there was that really cool pirate mission, haunted where you could get the blood cutlass and stuff in Oblivion. Just it made me think of that. But I'm super excited for this one, and it's really cool that they're finally revisiting this era now, to where Oblivion is their choice to go first. Like if you think about it, Bethesda, even before they were acquired by Xbox, always had a really good relationship with them. Like, Elder Scrolls Morrowind was on Xbox. Oblivion was on 360. The Skyrim expansions came first to 360. And then, they acquired them. And, they also did like Xbox One X and Xbox One S enhancements for Oblivion and Fallout 3, and Bethesda is one of the strongest supporters of, getting the most they can under the hood of these older games and doing what they can. So the fact that they've done that all these years and really decided, all right, we really, really want to revisit it. And I know Todd Howard specifically has name dropped Oblivion a bunch over the years as a game that he really liked and stood out to him, and that, kind of revisiting. So the fact that they're excited about the idea of it, they've been talking about it, it's my favorite one. I can't wait. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I think it will be
And
interesting.
the orcs. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, continue. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and the orcs by far need the biggest upgrade
Oh
of
yeah.
all. Like, we need characters that don't look like snot men. Like, it's just awful how the orcs look in Oblivion. If you want a good laugh, go to the character creation screen and try to make orcs. In today's world, it's so bad, but it was visionary at the time. Mm.
Yeah, I mean that game, like, it broke boundaries in like 2006. Like, that was a game that you got on your 360 and you were like showing people, like, look at this open world. Because when you first step out in the open world, like, there was nothing like it there. It has aged a lot. I will say this: I think people are gonna really like the setting because the problem with Skyrim. It's not even a problem with Skyrim. The Skyrim has this sort of like Nordic Viking thing going on, whereas Oblivion's more like high fantasy knights and elves type thing. You have completely different tones, and I think a lot of people that have never played Oblivion, they really gonna like it. But I'm really happy to hear that they're gonna improve the third person combat because I tell you, man, I played Starfield from start to finish in third person. I've been playing Fallout. I'd say 90% in third person. So as someone that is really enjoying Bethesda games at the minute in third person, I'm going to be probably playing Oblivion in third person. It's going to feel sacrilegious, but screw it, why not? Um, it will be interesting to see when they actually release this because it's going to be a packed few months ahead. We'll be talking about upcoming games in a minute, but like,
Rumor is June.
yeah, like June would be a good release date for that because as of now, not a lot of games are coming out in June. I think a meaty, RPG like that game's easy 100 hours for most people. Uh, that game has excellent tombs and dungeons. Like, I'm actually getting really excited just thinking about it because it's been so long since I played Oblivion, and like it's gonna be so exciting to see like millions and like new impressions from people that have never even looked at Oblivion. With its coat of paint and all this stuff, gameplay improvements. It's going to be a special game. I do hope we get a physical release or maybe even a collector's edition because it's going to be such a big release that why wouldn't you do that? Because Elder Scrolls is one of the biggest names in gaming. We haven't had one since 2011, and I'm not including the re-releases and updates for Skyrim. But yeah, I think a lot of people will be happy with this. Will it be announced at the showcase? That's debatable. But I mean, if it is releasing in June, they have to announce it maybe in the next 3 months. Just putting it out there. But who knows? I mean, Microsoft have said in the past that they have so many games in development, they're going to have to announce things throughout the year. So maybe they have another developer direct in 3 months to talk about this and some other stuff. But yeah, can't wait for this. Hopefully we see it next week because, like, I've loved Oblivion since the day it came out. And, replaying it is, like, really painful now. Because it like, just the aim and the arrow thing, it's annoying. You're being locked into one sort of class, kind of, as opposed to like how you were in Skyrim. But yeah, it's gonna be an exciting day. Anyway, we'll move on. You know what? We'll talk about this quickly because we've been wondering what's going on with the Activision back catalog. Uh, because like when Microsoft announced that they were going to buy Activision, a lot of people online, a lot of videos you may have seen in your feed were talking about Call of Duty exclusive, Call of Duty this, Call of Duty that. But myself and Logan, we were looking at that back catalog because there's a treasure trove of games there, and a lot of them are licensed titles, which a lot of them have been getting updates on Steam. A lot of titles have been getting added to the Windows Store, which they've never been there before. Singularity is now available on the Windows Store. And you've got to wonder, like, what is going on? They've owned Activision for a while now. Are they waiting for this developer direct? Could we realistically see them dedicating maybe a minute or two to saying, hey, all these Game Pass games, these Activision games, they're available now? Like, we don't really know, but like it feels like we've been waiting forever because again, we've got no Transformers games. There's Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions, which got updated on Steam, and people are waiting. And you know, you look at Call of Duty itself. A lot of Call of Duty games have been getting older ones, been getting Steam achievements. They've been getting listed on Windows Store, and also like the very first Call of Duty game is the only Call of Duty you cannot play on a modern Xbox. It was never made backwards compatible. The 360 version was called Call of Duty Classic. Not available. And every time I've mentioned a backwards compatible batch, no one from Microsoft has ever said it's not coming. Where in the past I've been told stuff like that. So we don't really know what's going on. And it looks like no one from Microsoft is willing to talk about it unless they want to have like this really cool surprise for the fans. But like Logan, we've been talking about this backwards compatible or new Activision batch for a while, but something's got to give, right?
I mean, I personally feel like there's something going on. Like the scale of it, I don't know. I do think there are some titles that we all want and really, really want to happen that just won't, for licensing reasons or other things. But I think like there's even, you know, if you take away Spider-Man or Wolverine, I would love those, but I would say those are like if you make tiers of likelihood to happen or not, like I would say they're in the not very likely because of various reasons. But and then Transformers, I'd say, is more likely than those, especially since Hasbro has been all but shilling themselves trying to get people to make games from their IPs, and has said, "Hey, we really want this to happen." And they said, Activision lost the source code. That ain't our fault. And then Activision comes out and goes, "Well, actually, no, we know where it is." And so there's a desire for it. The movies have done well recently. That most recent one in particular, and it's just and then you've got like Singularities and then the Crash Bandicoots and the Spyros, the Skylanders, the Prototypes, the True Guns, the True Crimes, the Gun, the other titles that they fully own that there should not be any snafus with. You would think from a licensing standpoint. Maybe technically they can't do it. I doubt that the wizards at Microsoft can't figure that out, but maybe there are some even they can't figure out. But personally, I think they are happening and that we will get a batch at some point of ABK titles with a few Bethesda titles thrown in that were held over because of license, between different publishers and studios at the era they were made, like a Quake 4, Quake Wars, Return to Wolfenstein '09, stuff like that. I personally think that's going to happen. I really hope it happens and happens soon. I wouldn't hold my breath on the Transformers ones, but I do think there's a decent chance they happen. But the Spider-Man and Wolverine ones, I would almost put them in music game category,
Yeah.
as in probably just not.
Yeah, I mean that. Look, I would love Wolverine Origins to be backwards compatible. I can't see it happening. Like the way it's like Sony's documents leaked with the whole Insomniac thing a while back, and allegedly there can't be X-Men characters in games on other platforms for like an extended period of time, and that also includes like characters like Deadpool, basically all the other X-Men, Quicksilver, all that stuff. So we don't really know what's going to happen, but like the Spider-Man thing, like I don't really understand how the game license situation works for Spider-Man because Sony doesn't actually own Spider-Man. They own the movie rights and they have a game license for Spider-Man right now. So, like, I really don't know what the situation is with that. Maybe they could relicense Spider-Man with Disney, but who knows what's going on. I really do feel that the Transformers games, like you said, are more than likely than anything else, just because Hasbro wants to do it so bad. I mean, hell, if you relist those games on Windows, Steam, Xbox, like those games are going to be selling, whether they upgraded or not. Like in the UK, 360 games they chart all the time on Xbox. Like people really don't care if it's a good game, people will buy it, and if you put them in Game Pass, well, even better. But yeah, hopefully we see that stuff soon. And the reason why I do think we could see that stuff soon is that I can't see Microsoft dedicating maybe a minute or two to this at a summer showcase. I think maybe they want to have that stuff shown at a smaller time, developer direct, something. You know,
Maybe that's the fifth game, the quote unquote mystery fifth, instead of like, they've had kind of game announcement as well as a mystery fourth. Maybe that's what that other extra gap is on the direct poster.
yeah, I mean, it really could be anything. I think a lot of us, you know, we coping the backwards compatible batch. I mean, I love 360 games. I think that generation's a treasure trove beyond belief. And like Activision's like older games, like they had so much variety. Like even the Crash Bandicoot games they had on the 360, like Crash of the Titans is actually a fun game. Uh, it gets next to no love online for some reason, but it's a genuine fun game, and I hope we do see things like that. I mean, why not? Make people happy. Anyway, we'll move on. You know what? Let's talk about the developer direct. We've been talking about this for a while anyway, so like, we've been hearing all sorts about this really, and for the longest time, there's been rumors about particular IP, other games, and as soon as we saw those question marks, people tried to tie it to like the word of a franchise. Even last night, I was talking about how like look, it's the amount of question marks in that image for the developer direct spells out Persona 6. So like that made me believe, okay, we're going to see Persona 6, but apparently we are going to get a new entry in a existing, you know, legendary Japanese franchise. This came out from Jez Corden from Windows Central, and Aaron Greenberg said there's a brand new game that's going to be announced there. So like, it could be anything if you think about it. If you look at a legendary Japanese IP, you look at Resident Evil. We haven't had a Resident Evil game announced in a while. There's allegedly a remake of the original and Resident Evil Zero in the works, and the five of us Resident Evil Zero fans are very happy. I really hope that's true, by the way, that they're remaking Zero. It won't sell, but some of us will be very happy. But yeah, I think, really anything could be showing up. I do think that, people getting the hopes for a Dino Crisis remake, I would love that. I really would. Can I see it happen in our lifetime? I'm not that lucky. I'm beginning to give up on Dino Crisis at this point because I think Capcom just mutes everyone that says Dino Crisis. But basically, it's all up in the air. We're finding out next week. There's been rumors all over the place for Final Fantasy. This is going to be basically a mixed topic at this point because it's going to be most of the rest of the show or whatever. Big topic. Like, for years now, we've been talking about Final Fantasy. Will 7 Remake come to Xbox? Will, what is now called Rebirth come to Xbox? And at first, we were saying maybe a snowball's chance in hell. And then I heard from a retailer that it was coming to Xbox a while back, from a reliable source. And then nothing happened. And I was like, screw you. Not really, but I was annoyed. But like I was so convinced that this game was coming, and then we see some documents that Sony has maybe nailed down exclusivity for 7 Remake, and then we find out that that wasn't actually true. And it's been all up in the air. Now, if you go back to 2015 when Rise of the Tomb Raider came out, we knew about its exclusivity period within a month or two of being announced. Right? Apparently, people from Sony had to call, Square Enix to find out what's going on with Tomb Raider, and that's why it was in the news all the time about, hey, this is coming to PlayStation a year later. But with Final Fantasy, you don't have people questioning Square Enix constantly and all that stuff. And this has been going on for years. And now, more than ever, you have developers from Square Enix talking about how they want to bring, or can't wait for when they bring Final Fantasy VII to more platforms. It's already on PC. And they've been talking about the multi-platform strategy where Nintendo and Xbox are both specifically listed in their major releases. They're going to do day one releases on those platforms as well. It looks like Square Enix is finally exiting the, exclusive game release phase, which hasn't been doing them any good. And at every opportunity lately, they've been talking about releasing Final Fantasy games on Xbox and other platforms. So this past week, we kind of hear that 7 and 7 Rebirth are going to be coming to Xbox this year and next year for Rebirth. This was from Nate the Hate, right, Logan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And in the past, some of these things have been true, some haven't. But like that aside, it lines up with everything else Square Enix has been talking about. Like the Switch 2, who knows when that comes out? Probably March. Like my guess is that they're gonna announce 7 Remake for the Switch 2 at its reveal, and then it's gonna be announced for Xbox during the developer directs for this year. But like only maybe a year ago, we were talking about how like these games may never come to Xbox, and it looks like now more than ever they are. Like Logan, we've been talking about this for the longest time now, and it's the chances of it coming to Xbox has gone up and up, but now more than ever, it looks like it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, this has been one of the more miraculous turnarounds I've ever seen in gaming. Like, assuming it does indeed happen, and it does come to Xbox like it's being reported, and I believe will happen, to go from an Ice Cube snowball's chance to, not only is it coming, but it's coming this year, and then the recent follow-up is coming the very next year, and everything going forward, carte blanche, basically, is just coming to the platform. We've gone full multi-plat for our Square Enix titles, end of story, is crazy turnaround, especially considering how apparently things had gotten like incredibly bad between Square Enix and Xbox at one point, where it was like, I don't know if you'd call it antagonistic, but it was not great. To just put it that way. And so to go from that to, wow, you know what? It's hugs and kisses and, kumbaya, and like everything is coming to the platform. It's like, it's manna, man. It's just glorious. And I can't wait. It wouldn't shock me at all if that was one of the reveals at the Dev Direct, is that, oh yeah, the one more thing. Or if maybe like that legendary game is maybe that Final Fantasy IX remake that's been rumored for a while. Maybe that, or something else, and then they throw in 16 or 7 or some stuff about that, or maybe some ports of some of their older games like Valkyrie or Tactics or Forspoken. Like I know Forspoken high on people's radar, but it was still technically a next gen game that came out that was exclusive for a while, and Xbox doesn't have it, so hey, might as well bring it over. So I'm just excited, and I can't wait for Final Fantasy games to just be on Xbox going forward. And I am just so fascinated by that Japanese mystery title. Like to me, that's the big question mark. Obviously, for you look at the criteria that's laid out. It's a legendary Japanese franchise. It's a new entry, and it's a franchise or title IP that's been around 20 plus years, multiple decades. There's not a ton of franchises that fit that bill, or that would be marquee.
Yeah. I mean, I have a few theories, and I mean, at this rate, maybe one of them comes true. So, Persona 6, I think, Atlas Games, they can put out games unlike on anyone else, basically. Like high quality games, sometimes multiple games a year. Like last year, they put out Persona 3 Reload, which deserves more love, by the way, and Metaphor ReFantasio, like two extremely high quality JRPGs, and I could see it happening. They've announced other games on the Xbox stage in the past. Why not this as well? But you also have games like I think there's a new Tales game coming out, a brand new Tales game,
Hmm.
and there hasn't been a new one for quite a while. They've been doing remasters of a few. I think another remaster comes out next week. And another game I actually think it could be, and it goes along with the whole Square Enix thing, is well, see, I'm getting caught up now because there's apparently a Final Fantasy IX remake in the works in the style of Crisis Core Reunion. That's a mouthful.
Yep.
Uh, and I think a lot of people would be happy with that, but they said new entry. So, which makes me think yes, it could be Persona. But who knows? It could be something blatantly obvious right in front of our faces that maybe we just aren't thinking about. What'd you say, Logan?
Arcadia too.
Yeah, yeah. I think it could be anything.
Skies of Arcadia, a new entry.
Yeah, I mean it could be. It just depends because you know, like Microsoft, they've been trying hard for a long time. Final Fantasy 17. Uh, give it 5 years, maybe. Maybe. I mean, who knows? We can really be surprised by anything at this point. But it does go to show that despite everything that's going on in the background with the media and everyone online losing the marbles over everything, Microsoft, they actively trying to get Japanese content on the platform. And if you look at all the games coming out this year, there's a lot of Japanese games coming to Xbox this year. There's more Japanese games coming to Xbox this year than previous years combined. So you've got to wonder, like, the Xbox situation isn't as bad as people make it out to be. It's just all clickbait and people pulling faces on thumbnails and stuff. But like the reality is, there's people buying games on Xbox, and there's more Japanese games coming to Xbox. Like Square Enix actively sees Xbox as a valuable proposition. But it's going to be. You know what I've just thought of a game that I think it just occurred to us: Kingdom Hearts.
Ooh, yep, that would work. That would do the trick because the PS2 just turned 25.
Yeah,
So yeah, that would fit the bill.
and yes, is it depressing to think that decades still is the 21st century? Yeah, like oh god. But it could be Kingdom Hearts 4. Kingdom Hearts 4 had a kind of a tiny reveal. I want to say 3 years ago with I want to say 12 seconds of gameplay. Like when I can fit all of the gameplay in a trailer into a single GIF, that's a short amount of gameplay. It could really be anything. Um, now that I'm thinking on it, it could actually be Kingdom Hearts 4. There was Kingdom Hearts 3 gameplay at a previous Microsoft E3. So it's going to be a really exciting showcase. But like you said before, and like Boom said earlier in the day, yes, there's question marks underneath that image, but there's space for another game to be there. Like, that could be the Oblivion thing. It could be anything. I think, the way Microsoft has these like shows, maybe it's 30 minutes or 40 minutes or whatever, they can basically put in as many games as they want. They're not really limited to what's in that image. Yes, it could be 4, could be 5, or it could be 4 or 5 with some updates. We're talking about Final Fantasy before. We haven't talked about 16. The game that I thought was most likely to come to Xbox first. Like, could 16 be a shadow drop? Are they still doing the updates on PC? Is that why it isn't on Xbox yet? Like, who knows? And I think that's a really exciting thing to think about, that we could really see anything come over. I will say this. I have heard some things, one thing in particular, which I will not mention. I think a lot of people might be happy. But if people do find out to what's actually going to be there, or one of the things, don't spoil it. I think all these showcases tend to leak, maybe a day or two in advance. No, don't post about it. Like, the stuff I've heard today, I'm not going to post about it. But if it happens, people are going to be happy. Logan, is there anything else you think that might be at this showcase?
Well, like I said, I think they could, squeak in a BC batch. Like maybe that's me and you just huffing heavy amounts of hopium, but
Yeah.
that would be awesome if they had, a BC batch, or there's that Project Sybil or whatever controller. Maybe they sneak something like that in there, or they have a new batch of cloud games. Hasn't it been since November? We
I,
haven't gotten any.
yeah,
Uh,
about November, yeah.
I think. Okay, so yeah, I feel we're due in late January to get another like small batch of 50 or so, and that could be something they squeak in there. They could do a shadow drop of a game. Like, I know a lot of people swear by it that the Oblivion remake won't be there, but what if it was? I mean, that would be cool. Um, and there's several other, like Double Fine is a studio we haven't heard from in quite some time, and apparently they have that clay game Kiln or
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
they've been working on for years, or maybe one of their other projects, because they're working on multiple things, I believe. You've got Clockwork Revolution, which hasn't been heard from since you saw the guy strut on the clock podium thing going downtown on the red carpet. It's been a hot minute since we've heard from. There's so much. That's what's great about Xbox, is it's so diverse and there's so many possibilities. We can spend a whole podcast discussing hypotheticals, or like what could theoretically show up at this, and we wouldn't sound crazy. It's not where they've become so genre, stagnant to where it's like, well, it's going to be a third person adventure with this tone set in one of these type of settings, and we just spin a wheel and that's what we get.
Yeah, I think we could.
Be that way.
Yeah,
So I'm excited.
yeah, we could really see anything. Um, I will say this though,
A sci-fi RPG.
uh,
That would be nice.
like, don't get me started, man. I'm absolutely craving sci-fi RPGs, and nobody's bloody making them. Like, yeah, one bloody
You don't want
developer.
to go back to the woods and fight rats,
Oh
Jeremy?
god, yeah, I am excited about Oblivion because that's a known quantity. But if I see one new fantasy game announced, one new IP where, oh look, there's an orc, oh nice, there's a mountain there, oh I'm using a sword, nice. Like, where's the sci-fi? I could talk about this all day. Like, developers, please use sci-fi. What the? I'm sick to death of fantasy game this, fantasy game that. Every bloody game has to have caves, trolls, cave trolls, more potions, magic. Like, no spaceships, nothing. And honestly, some developers might not like what I'm about to say. I think the reason we get that many fantasy games is because it's cheaper to make. I think it's easier for a developer to go out there and make a forest with trees and maybe a hut and a troll and a dragon than a cyberpunk style neon lit city with like floating cars. Putting it out there.
Well, I mean, why do you think Star Wars is so popular? It's, science fantasy. It's like the melding of both. Like you have knights in space with laser swords,
Yeah. I mean, long story
magic
short.
power, and spaceships
Yeah.
and planets and all this exploration. It has both.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I'm just begging developers, just copy Mass Effect already, okay? Just feed me my Mass Effect clones. That's all I want. Yeah, you can call the characters the same for all I care. I just want some third person sci-fi shooters that have dialogue trees that resemble Mass Effect. But we might get something like that. You never know. But the other games that's actually going to be at the show is South of Midnight, which we've actually seen a lot of gameplay recently on Twitter. The gameplay looks good. You've got 3D platforming, you've got powers, you've got trying to think what I can compare the combat to, but it looks good. It looks fun, unique world. It's that deep south in the US. Like, it looks really cool. I'd be shocked if we don't get a release date for that game. Like, it seems like we've seen a lot, and Doom: The Dark Ages, that's going to be shown there as well. And like, as someone that posts about Doom: The Dark Ages, let me tell you, people are fed up of seeing those same 4 screenshots over and over again, because that's all we've got. Like, I'm a press affiliate for Microsoft. I basically have access to images, and let me tell you, all we have is that trailer and 4 images, nothing else. Like, just update us with new things. But like, I'd be shocked if we don't get a release date for that as well, because like, I've been talking about this earlier in the day, and I've been talking about this in previous episodes. Like, a lot of developers aren't committing to release dates because of GTA 6. And while I do think, like, I'm not going to limit just myself to like just GTA later on this year. Like, I want the whole smorgasbord of games that come out. I'm gonna play GTA, finish it in 25 hours, play something else. That's what's gonna happen. And like, I don't think developers have to be 100% scared of releasing in the holiday, because at the rate this is going, all these developers are going to release all their games by August, and then the holiday season you're going to have basically FIFA, the other sports games, Call of Duty, and GTA. That's basically going to be it. So like, I think we're going to see more commitment to release dates from Microsoft. I do think we will see Doom and South of Midnight launch before June. Those have been rumored, but it kind of makes sense at the end of the day. I think Fable will be kept till later in the year. I think Fable will be the big swan song for 2025 for Microsoft. Kind of just looks like how Microsoft would do that, because that is the biggest game they've got set to come out this year. The Outer Worlds 2, we have no idea when that's dropping. We were just told 2025, nothing else. Nothing's actually leaked about the Outer Worlds 2 either. No release window, which is what you would typically have, but no, nothing. Like, Logan, what do you think we're going to see when it comes to release dates?
Yeah, I'm curious, like what release dates we get. Like, I think at this point, South of Midnight is a given that we'll be getting a release date. Like, it feels like every week, Compulsion is releasing new little tidbits on Twitter of gameplay, or magic this or that, and cosplay stuff. And then I think, Doom, I think we will get a release date on. And like you said, it's like the same 4 gifts. I've got the spinning shield,
Yep.
I've got the cool cape, and the dragon. And like maybe one other thing. they definitely do need to update Getty on that, or put some more press stuff out there. And South Midnight, I'm excited for as well. Avowed, I can't wait. Just all in all, I'm just super stoked for this showcase. Like, it's a great time to be an Xbox fan. I know there are some who believe that they have given up, or they have themselves given up on Xbox, but I'm not in that boat. I feel pretty good. And no, this isn't just positive, pie in the sky. I have reason to believe that things are gonna go well, and I'm excited.
Yeah, not doing any of that. Like, I think you see too much forced like drama about the situation. Like, you're gonna see that with like gaming news in general, which is a shame because like gaming right now is in a great spot. Like all the different releases coming this year, there's so many like interesting games coming out, especially if you lean towards single player games like me. Like I don't like. By the way, Marvel Rivals is like doing insane numbers right now. On like Steam on a console as well. Like, and I just don't care. I'm completely tapped out when it comes to multiplayer games. I just don't care anymore. Um, Maybe if we get a re-release of the original Titanfall multiplayer at some point, that will change. But for the most part, like I don't really care about multiplayer. And this year, it's jam packed with single player games, and I cannot wait. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy. Like people need to step away from the FUD and all that stuff. Like it's going to be a good year for gamers. And you know what? We'll quickly talk about this. Um, so Microsoft, they're going to upgrade their cloud infrastructure when it comes to gaming, and you're also going to get 4K streaming, which is actually going to be a big deal because you're going to have higher bitrate gameplay. Now, if you've played something like Forza or Fortnite with like fast movement, sometimes it can get very grainy. Even if you've got a really good internet connection, but with the higher bitrate, you're going to be able to have like way better footage, which is really cool. Like Logan, you do have the streaming LG device, right?
Yeah, and I absolutely love it. It's become a daily item for me. Like, if I'm in a part of the house where I gotta do something and I don't have access to my main TV, or, you know, whatever reason, or if I want to play something with somebody else, or, give them a chance to try it out. Like, I've been using it daily. I absolutely love it. And please, please, Microsoft, if you're listening, here's an idea. Bring back the suggestion box type thing that you used to do for BC and other stuff, but have one for cloud stuff, because a lot of games that I play that I feel would be wonderful on that device, but aren't yet. And just please let people make suggestions, like Metroidvanias, boomer shooters, older retro games, Telltale type games. There's so many genres that would flourish on that device. Just please, take feedback and make it available.
Yeah. You know what? We've just had some news kind of breaking. It's not news, but you can kind of read between the lines. So Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater Funko Pops go on sale March 25th. Now, I don't particularly buy many Funko Pops these days. I have a few. But typically you get game merch around game releases. So yeah, it looks like, as predicted, it's coming out in the next few months. Anyway, the whole streaming thing on Xbox, like the quality is obviously going to get better. I have played a lot of Forza Horizon via streaming, and look, even though like the quality dips and like the footage, like you still on track. You can still control where you're going and stuff. So like the technology is just getting better and better. I think that stuff will improve. And like Logan mentioned the suggestion box thing, like that was how we got Xbox backwards compatibility. Basically, it was the most requested thing on that page. And for the longest time, I used to roll my eyes thinking it's not going to happen. Like, are we really going to wish backwards compatibility into existence? And pretty much, yeah. And we used to have lists of games where people could vote to which games they want backwards compatible. By the way, I'm 99.9% sure I'm the person that got Assassin's Creed Rogue and Splinter Cell Blacklist backwards compatible. I was campaigning those games every single day.
Good job.
So I will take full credit for those two games in particular. And my God, you want to see me and Logan like remaster beg, Nightdive Studios for stuff. You should have seen how much I was campaigning back in the day to get those Mass Effect games backwards compatible, 2 and 3. Like, I was on Twitter every day posting, "Can we get 2 and 3 backwards compatible? Please vote now." Like, looking back, it was silly, but it was the right thing to do.
Major Nelson probably hated our guts. I was always spamming his replies about, Black Ops 2 or where's Dead Space 2 or all these other things.
Yeah, Black Ops 2 used to be, like, I think it was the most requested game to be backwards
Hitting a
compatible.
Skyrim, yeah.
Yeah, and like I remember, I used to be shook. Right, I've never talked about this. I used to be really shook that people aren't voting for Mass Effect 2 and 3. I was like, why are people voting on We've got Call of Duty games, and thankfully we have all that now. But back then, man, the struggle was real. I was in need for my Mass Effect games to be backwards compatible because 1 wasn't enough. Well, we're going to transfer my save data to nothing. But that stuff came eventually, and hell, 2 and 3 actually got listed digitally for purchase, which I bought immediately. But yeah, it's going to be interesting year for Xbox. I feel like every single episode we talk about 360 in some capacity, but why not? It's an amazing console. Logan, have you got anything else you want to go over before we close out the show?
No, just be kind, enjoy games. It's a good year. I'm excited for next week. It should be a great showcase. Excited to see what they reveal. Fingers crossed for some good stuff. I'll just put it out there. If there's not anything at the Dev Direct, it'll be about time to restart up my BC campaign again on Twitter all the time, because it's like, even if they don't put some of these BC, the fact that there's a whole bunch of titles in Activision's catalog that aren't even in Game Pass that are playable but just aren't in Game Pass already is just wild. Like, all the Call of Duties, all the, like the fact that you have Crash Racing but not on cloud, the fact that you have Diablo 4 but not on cloud. I know there's the Ubisoft angle of it because of regulators getting involved, but other than that, it's just like the drip feed thing on that has gotten tiresome for some folks.
Yeah. You know what? I think we'll quickly talk about this because I was actually going to talk about it earlier. The whole multi-platform thing. Turns out we're not closing the show yet. The whole multi-platform thing, I want to talk about it quickly because
the show goes on.
Yeah, like I have a very relaxed approach to gaming. Like I think it's something we should enjoy. Too many people take it way too seriously, and like my views on gaming in general is like, whatever it is, doesn't matter how good or how bad, I just sit back and just relax and think about it. Right? I don't let any negative like story like get up in my feelings, or like, because like, look, when the multi-platform stuff came out last January with Hi-Fi Rush and stuff, there's people in the community like I haven't spoke to since. They just disappeared, which I think is a really big shame. And there's people that left the community. There's people that left the community and like got really sour with a bunch of people. I'm not mentioning names.
Burned a lot of bridges.
Yeah, a lot of people burnt a lot of bridges just by lashing out at others. And look, I think the future of gaming is really weird at the minute because over the years you've had movies and TVs that their industries have completely changed. Right, you have A-list actors in TV shows now. Right, If you go to Amazon Prime or Netflix or Disney or Apple, a lot of Apple shows have like really high profile actors in television shows. Like that's not something you would have seen 10 years ago. Why did that start happening? It's because Hollywood, they aren't making as much money as they used to with movies. Look at summer blockbusters. We used to get a bunch of blockbusters in the summer, and all of them would make money. Now, summer blockbusters, we get few of them, and they still struggle, right? Not a lot of movies make a lot of money. So you have these big A-list actors doing TV shows for Disney Plus and all that stuff. And, that whole industry is changing. Music has changed over the years. Most people get their music via streaming. Now, imagine going back 20 years ago and telling your former self that, by the way, music's free. You'd call yourself crazy. Right? It wouldn't make any sense. Like, what do you mean it's free? It wouldn't compute. And like books, those have shifted to digital. So when it comes to video games, the video game industry has been the same for 50 years, basically. 40, 50 years. Nothing's really changed. The only thing that's changed in the meantime is that, yes, games have been made digitally available for purchase. Now they're in like subscription services. Sega is now looking into subscription services, even though they don't own a platform. And like Xbox, Nintendo, and PlayStation are basically, the big three. People are looking at what they're going to do next. And like, I don't know if people remember this, but like before the big rumors hit last year, I was telling people, and I think I told Logan as well, that I was predicting that Sea of Thieves would go to PlayStation just because I think they maxed out their sales potential on the platform. And like, look at Sea of Thieves. Is anyone buying an Xbox to specifically play Sea of Thieves? No, because if you wanted Sea of Thieves, you probably had it already. And it turns out that I was right. People were buying Sea of Thieves when it came to PlayStation because it was there. Easy approach. But I think if you look at the other games like Hi-Fi Rush and Grounded and Pentiment, those games never got much talk online. They may have been newer compared to the other ones, Sea of Thieves, but nobody's been talking about them. Like, I honestly think those games did kind of bad. So what's with these new rumors? The new rumors are Master Chief Collection, Age of Mythology, and Flight Simulator 2024. Now, those three games in particular shouldn't make anyone freak out. Has Microsoft maxed out their sales potential for Halo the Master Chief Collection, a collection of old games that released in 2014? I'd say possibly. Like, is anyone that's getting upset right now, are you playing Halo Master Chief Collection every day and thinking this is the end of Halo because, it might go to other platforms? Maybe people are doing that. But I think they've maxed out their sales potential for that game because, again, none of the games that were listed were major new games, right? Flight Simulator 2024, let me tell you, that's a game I play every single day. I play it every day, right? And guess what? When I post clips of it on Twitter and talk about this game, I know a lot of people don't really care because it's a simulator of flying. It's a very involved game where you have to learn the controls of an actual aircraft to fly in that game. And it's niche, right? It's a major PC game. Controls easy on keyboard and mouse, I'm guessing. A lot of people buy flight sticks. On console, trying to control a plane with a controller is a nightmare. And I play with a controller, right? It is beyond niche that people they can't even comprehend how niche Flight Simulator is. Same with Age of Mythology. Age of Mythology is an RTS on console. Those two games I've just mentioned, have you seen anyone port beg those on PlayStation? Have you seen anyone from PlayStation say, hey, I want a flight simulator or I want a medieval RTS game? You haven't, because those are extremely niche games. The Master Chief Collection is old. So I don't have a problem with what's going on at the minute. Ideally, would it be great if Microsoft kept everything on their platform that made sense, like Indiana Jones and stuff, these obvious system sellers? Yeah, but like, am I going to get upset about Halo the Master Chief Collection, a collection of games that came out, what, 11 years ago? And though that was a collection of even older games which came out a decade prior. Like, I'm not going to get upset over that. Am I going to get upset about Age of Mythology? Let me tell you, in the UK, as far as I know, on Xbox, it did pretty well. And I will say this: Xbox fans seem to be more PC gamer centric. I've noticed in the past, PC gamers, I should say, Xbox gamers are more likely to play PC style games like this. The number one rated game on Xbox in the UK, it isn't a shooter, it isn't a racing game, it's a city builder. Like, City Skylines is the number one rated game on Xbox, a quote unquote niche game. So, like, to me, like, I see Xbox fans more willing to play something like a flight simulator or an RTS game like Age of Empires or Age of Mythology. I don't see people on PlayStation talking about it. So, like, for people, by the way, I've seen this, people getting upset that Age of Mythology is going to PlayStation. I never see these people talk about RTS games. So why are you upset? So to me, these games have been announced. It's not a big deal. Will it be weird to see Halo on a PlayStation? Yeah, granted. Like, that'll be weird. But is it the end of Xbox that people are acting it out to be? No. Drama gets clicks, be it on YouTube, Twitter, or articles. The way people are acting online right now is ridiculous. That's my piece on it. Logan, I've been talking for what feels like 5 hours about this situation. What's your take on it?
Yeah, I'm pretty aligned with you. I have slight variance, but for the like to me, like when you put it out like that, it makes a lot of sense. And Age of Mythology doesn't bother me at all. It's a remake of a older PC RTS game that was a spin-off of Age of Empires, which was an old school PC game. And that going over that's just like, okay, cool. Yeah, make that for everybody. I bet Switch would love that. Like, just, let everybody have that. That's cool. Um was never really my thing. That one didn't bother me. Hi-Fi Rush I thought was odd, but I was like, all right. Pentiment, it's like, well, this was this dev's kind of love child project, smaller scale, like maybe let others try to experience his work. Okay. Yeah, I get it. But to me it feels different when it's the name Halo or a Gears of War or a something like that, a legacy franchise or like a Fable, if Fable were to ever. Not saying it is, just saying like if it were to ever. Like stuff like that just hits differently because we grew up with OG Xbox 360. There's a reason why we bloody talk about them so much. They were amazing eras. And these games are clearly are great and there's a desire. I have zero doubt these will sell like gangbusters on PlayStation. If a Halo or a Gears, like Gears Ultimate, to go to PlayStation, I have zero doubts they would sell like crazy. People go, "Oh, I finally get it. Yeah, this is actually really good." And then we're like, "We've been telling you for 20 years." Um, but it feels different when it's something core to identity, like the soul of Xbox. I know that's dramatic, but like, is it the death of Xbox? No. Is it mean Xbox is doomed, or Xbox is going fully multiplat, or Xbox is, just not going to make consoles anymore? No, 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 no. Like you said, it is a remaster collection of games that came out in the early 2000s. And this collection itself has been out for over a decade now. And it going over as much as I don't like it on principle because it's Halo, I get it, understand it. I would have a huge issue if they put like the brand new mainline Halo or something, going forward on PlayStation day one or Fable or something like that. But, you know, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt me personally because I just want to play games where I want to play, and Xbox is my preferred platform. As long as they don't royally screw us over and make it to where we lose access to our libraries going forward, and like all the tons of money we've poured in and hours and stuff we've spent with these games for 20 plus years, if we lost access to those and they quit making hardware, yeah, I would be very, very angry. But if it doesn't seem that way right now, they're guaranteed that they're making next gen hardware for the foreseeable future. It makes it to where it's like, all right, this is a necessary evil. It seems that they're gonna do this, and if them porting decade plus games or even 2 decade old games and niche genre stuff over to other platforms, and the monies they get in their coffers allow them to fund more creative, expressive games or new sequels and franchises I love and take some creative risks and keep the lights on and keep Xbox going and fund a new console, then I'm all for it and I'll just deal with it.
Yeah. Uh, so yeah, I think like I think Logan agrees. The whole relaxed approach, like which I do. Um, People just need to just calm down, right? Like, I think too many people get themselves involved with gaming to the point where, like, they lash out, man. Like, how many times in the past few months or year have you seen people do the quote unquote announcement of switching platforms? They make it, by the way, they make an announcement like they did at an airport, right? So they announce that they're moving to a different platform, and then they change their profile picture to Spider-Man or the dude from Last of Us, right? And this is what blows my
Disney, thanks you.
yeah, this is what blows my mind, right? So these people that have been Xbox fans for years, right? This multi-platform stuff comes out, or like last year, right? And these people that were quote unquote Xbox fans, they changed their profile picture to a Spider-Man picture or Ellie from the Last of Us, right? And all of a sudden, they obsess about that game. They talk about that game. So like, were they really Xbox fans, or were the fans of exclusive games being exclusive to one piece of hardware? Because that's what I can't get my head around. I've seen this tons of times in the past year where massive Xbox person on Twitter, or smaller Xbox guy on Twitter, or whatever, it doesn't really matter how many followers that person had. Like, they will change their profile picture to Spider-Man or something, and then that's all they talk about. They only talk about first party Sony games. Why? Did they not like those games before? And that's what blows my mind. And for anyone that's ever posted in the past, to me, posting RTS content such as Age of Mythology, Age of Empires, and Flight Simulator, I've had a lot of flack in the past, by the way, for Flight Simulator because it's quote unquote not a video game. Watch all these people turn around and start saying, "I can't wait to play this on PS5 Pro." Like that's going to come around. They're going to do that. It's predictable.
Porky the Pig voice now.
Yeah, and it's going to be so predictable. And bear in mind, people that have hated on Halo for 25 years, basically, are going to love it all of a sudden. But people that do that, they are a-hats. I'm trying not to swear. If I could swear, this show would be a different story. Just because I'm from the northeast of England and swearing is what we do. But yeah, that's the multi-platform stuff. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it because, one, I don't think people want to tune in to hear people argue. And like, I've said my part on it. Logan said his. Like, it's not the end of the world. You're going to see a lot of people act like it's the end of the world on Twitter, but you can't really change that. And for people that do like go on Twitter to just whine all the time, know this. Developers, publishers, if you annoy them all the time, they mute you or they block you. They don't see you getting upset in your feelings and go, you know what? Because of this person lashing out on Twitter, I'm going to change our entire business plan. And we're going to cancel these ports. We're going to change our decision of anything because this person on the internet is annoying me. No developer in the history of gaming has ever done this, right? Developers don't pay attention to that stuff. You get muted. I mute people on a daily basis. They are talking to no one when they reply to me. They have no idea. It's because they've annoyed me to an extent. Boop, muted, out of my existence. It's beautiful, really. But yeah, it costs nothing to be polite online, no matter how annoyed you are. My God, I'm sounding like my teacher from school. Anyway, everyone in chat has been amazing once again. We'll be back next week, same time, usual. Depending on whether I can get the some stuff sorted out, I may go 30 minutes earlier to try some green room type stuff where I just talk to people in chat. Might be fun, just to try things out. But again, I'll post about that on Twitter. Our socials are in the description down below. Twitter, or X if you want to call it that. I'm not calling it that. The big video I've been working on for the past 2 months has been paused and stopped multiple times due to the bronchitis and not being able to talk. How ironic, I coughed during that. And I'm losing my voice again. The big video is out this week. Been working on it for 2 months. Hope people enjoy it and share it and all that stuff. It really helps the channel out. Again, 2 months to work on this video. Long bloody time. And finally getting back to weekly content, which I've been trying to for a while, but health issues aren't exactly the best. But again, we'll be back next week. All that jazz. Hope everyone has a good day. We're out, everybody. Peace.